Welcome to a nice, lovely, sunny evening in the UK. Right, okay, so welcome one and all on those who decided to join me on this nice late evening, or I guess early afternoon if you're stateside, or really late if you're over in the Far Ages. Time zones are fun. But anyway, we're here for a nice little live session today, and for fun, I'm responding to several issues and questions that have come up and generally come up quite regularly when dealing with MonoGame, is that people have been trying MonoGame or doing this and that, they built projects from years old, and then they try to update them or keep upgrading, then they hit issues. So today we're going to go through all these common problems, and also we're going to work together to actually upgrade the migration guide to make it a bit clearer. So if we switch over to our session, there we go. There's the MonoGame website. So first and foremost place that you should be jumping onto if you want to actually help to know more about MonoGame, what's going on, quick access to the documentation, lots of different tips and tricks, and generally where you need to go to get started. And obviously, if you're getting started, you go into the Getting Started guide. It goes through all the documentation hub. We're constantly revitalizing this frequently to make sure it addresses different ways people are looking at it and what's going on. But anyway, today we're looking at migration. Now, the reason this has come about is thanks to some users on Reddit. Remind me again that sometimes, even though with the best one in the world with our projects and we maintain MonoGame to ensure that it has the best experience for new starters or existing people, sometimes it doesn't always go right. 9 times out of 10, it's down to the .NET tools. A fraction of the time is sometimes down to how we've changed the templates over time, because I either changed .NET or changed the way things are packaged. But ultimately, all the NuGets for all the different releases are available. They're always online. They're always there. So you can always go forward and back as much as you like. I showed in the stream on Friday a sneak peek towards the end of the stream about using the binaries release. I'll probably do a future session on that where we need to sort of build better documentation, better templates on those, but that's for another day. So as it stands now, this issue came about where there's a user here who's commented on Reddit. They have actually also logged an issue on the GitHub site, which is where if anyone actually, well, that's not it. No, that's the sample site. So on the GitHub site, in case if you have issues, anything you need to call out to us, you can reach out to us in Discord, obviously. But generally, this is the best place. You log an issue, put as much details in there as you can, especially replication steps. It turns out after talking to this user later on that they have actually had their issue resolved because there was some template issue, but that's just one of many things that can happen in the life scale of any kind of project. So in there, essentially what they run down to is that, and what caught my eye to really look at this place again, is that they've noticed they're using quite an older version of MonoGame, so it's the 3.8.2 release. And if they try to update it to the latest 3.8.4, they suddenly get a load of package reference errors. So we're going to look through this, see if we can try and replicate the issue, and also then look at ways to solve it, and also ultimately update this, which is the migration guide. If you go to our sort of our doc site where we have documentation, and we go to our documentation, down here we've got the migration tab, which shows you all the different ways that you can migrate. Okay, I'm going to update zoom my font. Someone said on the last stream I need to update my font that I'm using, or updating the size of text. But anyway, so in the migration side, for the documentation side, we've got migrating from XNA. We got going from the really early editions of 3.7. Touchwood, I've not come across the 3.7 project for a while. Things have changed significantly if you read through this and what's gone on there. We've got the 3.8.0 release, which was the first one where we had proper .NET templates, and we had the tool which was installed globally, which was generally it was a bad idea. We've moved since to more localized testing, because if you're running 2 different MonoGame projects, both, for whatever reason, are on different versions. If you've got a global tool, you've only got one editor that you can actually use, which means you've got to keep uninstall and reinstall it every time you switch projects. Having the tools local to the project makes things easier, because it means you've always got the right project and the right tools for each project. The downside is, as people keep finding out, maintaining .NET tooling is painful, which is why, or one of the critical reasons why we're trying to move beyond using .NET tools and actually using now the whole content builder project, which again is another stream I'm planning to do. And there's some instructions for updating and what you need to do and what you need to update for things. Lots of documentation there to read through, but today we're focusing on the issue here. So we have one user who is on version 3.8.2.1105. So we're going to set a project up using that. We're going to quickly go through how to update it. Now, again, in the documentation, let's see. Now, if I go to this, now this one thing I'm really proud of, the how-to section. There's a load of articles which tell you what things are. So what is audio, how it's set up, game loops, vertices, matrices, quaternions, the whole shebang is on there. And then what we also have here is a selection of how-to articles, which tell you how to achieve certain things or certain effects or work with certain components. A lot of this was migrated from the original XNA guides and then updated and lifted and made to make more sense for MonoGame. But if we go down to the bottom of this, is one of the articles that I'm looking for right now, is installing the MonoGame preview packages. Now, where this comes relevant is because that all of the CLI tools and commands you need for updating your project are in here. So whether you're updating your packages, whether you're updating your tools, which I'll go into more detail later on that, and also more importantly, in case installing preview templates, but also installing a specific version of MonoGame templates when you're creating new projects. This makes it easier, especially from our testing perspective, because I'm effectively winding my machine back to a point in time of this is how MonoGame was when I set it up in this place. And we're going to install the actual version of MonoGame that we used in there. So I've got my nice little test folder here. So go in here, and we're going to basically start from scratch and create set my machine up to be, or wind my machine back up in time. So I'm going to install, let's copy this, just copy that and make it easier. So that, but I don't want this version. The version I want is the one they're logging in this issue, which is this one, which is 3.8.2.1105. So, okay, so my machine now is set up for 3.8.2. So these are all the templates that are available at the time. The code and things that are behind the templates is all what was there at the time, nothing else. So, and however else, some people like to use Visual Studio. You can use Visual Studio Code. When I'm creating projects, I'm doing it at the command line because I can instantly tell if a project's working. So I'm going to use the ng desktop GL template, which is the old OpenGL template, or at least still the same OpenGL template. And then I'm going to give the command to basically name the project, and we're going to say this is the okay. So we're working with 3.8.4, so 3.8.2. Going to go off and create that project. Going to go in there. In modern projects you don't have to, but it's always wise to basically do a .NET restore, and then now back at this time. Yeah, you can see here now basically I've installed the tooling. Now I'm using local commands rather than doing the global setup because no one wants that pain. But essentially, that's my .NET 3.2 project. We can check to make sure that it works, and we can go about trying to recreate this issue now. So I've got a project. Granted, there's no content in this. We'll come back. We'll try and break the project first and see how that works. And I can do .NET run. That should give me good old compile blue on the screen. Not much interactivity, but it's working. So there's my project. Now I could go and edit this. So if I go into, let's see, where are we? There's our project. I'm going to open it in VS Code. Oh, my VS Code window is over there. Go over here. And you can see here, so my CS project is using a specific version. Those of you familiar with the 3.8.4 and above templates, notice we've now used a wildcard here to try and make it easier. Sometimes it does make it more difficult. And in here, we've got our .NET tools, which is using 3.8.2.1.5, all going good. So I could manually just change the numbers in there, but again, I'm testing things out, how things would work in the wild. So if I go back to my pre-release things, I've got nice commands here to actually just go and install. So I'm just one at a time. So go back here. Okay, right. I want to do that, but I just want to do the base 3.8.4. So I'm taking a 3.8.2 project, and all I'm simply going to do is, without changing anything, I'm just going to change what the NuGet packages it's using. So according to the user, when they've logged this, this then causes reference issues. So on that one, put that to there, 284. So if what is reported is true, I'm going to do restore. To restore. So now, oh, no. So now there's an issue there because obviously I've updated the references, but I've not updated the tooling. Although I'm curious. So that should fail. Possibly because I've got no content. That's actually just worked. But, okay, we're following the upgrade, so really we should also update the tooling to match. Now this is just far easier. Go to our tools. Now, if there's ever an issue with the MGCB editor not opening or not compiling content, this is 99% of the time your issue, is that the version of MonoGame you're using for your project is out of sync with the version of the tools, the MGBC editor, that you're using. And so a quick check is just look, check, compare these two. Let's replace all of those. There we go. Okay. But again, that's still working. So we're no upgrade issues there. Now, main possibility of this could be simply because we're doing a blank project. There's no this isn't a real project. It's just content. So what we can do is we have at our disposal. Let's see. Now we have the MonoGame samples. Oh, excuse me. Starting fresh. No question. Thank you, Square Bananas. There are other options with Visual Studio to actually just view terminal. You can do that on Mac as well, but I like the way I do it. Well, thank you anyway. Nice to see you on the line. I'm going to also try out this because no. I was going to try something then, but it's not working. Huh. Oh well, I'll come back to that later. I was going to try something. I added something new to the stream to try it out and see what happened. But anyway, so we're delving deep into this issue that the user is saying they can't update. Now, obviously, I've just gone from this version, just updating the packages, to 3.4, and it worked. So maybe the issue is a case of like content. So in the MonoGame.samples project, we have samples and we version these for every single release. So you can see here we've got 3.7 samples, how they looked back then. Wow. Now, I set up this group and that was over 6 years ago. And there's some other stuff that's even longer. I did not think I've been doing that this long, but hey-ho. But anyway, we're going to the 3.8.2 release. So at that point in time, we had the platform and Neon Shooter, and I have got this repository cloned locally. So if I go here, go to my samples, My sample, let's see, right, okay, I was obviously doing something there before, so revert anything in there. I want to check out, let's see, the 3.8.2 branch. There we go. Oh, hello. Oh. We clean. Yes, checking out's not enough. You actually clean up. We're cleaning out it. Clean it out. Okay, so checking out 3.8.2. So this is something we usually use in MonoGame a lot, is that we use the sample library for testing branches and testing code. We also test the things like the start kit and other templates as part of our automation. So in the 3.8.5 branch now, we've implemented several additional things to actually validate that when code is checked into MonoGame. We're also building the project out and testing it to make sure it works. But anyway, guy, you're taking me back now. I love it. One of the very first, apart from the BBC Micro, my first ever computer, as it were, was a Commodore VIC-20, and I used to spend many an hour getting samples of BASIC off magazines, because there was no internet back then. This is printed magazines, and typing it out. And then we don't have disc or anything out. We had cassette tapes. For those who can remember what cassette tapes are. And you put it in and you try to save your program and then hope against hope that the tape didn't snag and lose hours of your work from doing something. And if it didn't work, you were typing it all out again. Fun times. Oh, I'm just going to throw. Okay, so I'm putting a reminder. So both for the chat and also anything else, for these channels, for anyone who's watching it off stream, there is a QR code and a link there which will take you to our Discord section, which is just for this. So if you've got all the questions, you think about this afterwards, that's where it is. But anyway, getting back on target. There we go. Let's turn that off. Right, so right, we're on the 3.8.2 branch. It should be up to date, but I always pull. We're going to here, play the platform. Apologies. I've had a long day, and I'm here 9 o'clock at night now, streaming for everyone to see. Okay, so close all that. So in here we've got a full multi-platform project built at the 3.8.2 release. And so if I go into here, I go into the, let's see, which folder do I want? The desktop geo project. No, I shouldn't need to do. Let's just go straight to build. We won't bother restoring because it should restore when it builds. You get restored to failed NuGets. Obviously not, because it's working. Let's go away with that. .NET run. Okay, so as expected, if that was not working out, I suddenly started to question my life. There, okay, so we've got a confirmed 3.8.2 project working as stated in the issue. And again, I'm going to do it here this time. Let's go and update it. So where's my commands? Here we go. I could split screen this. Oh, how do I increase the font size in here? Can I just... there we go. Eee, okay. Right, so I'm going to update the packages for 3.8.4 to 3.4, and also we need the build package because we're still doing this. This is one thing I will not be sad to the back of when we go to the content project side, because we don't use this task. This task is many a nightmare. Go away, yes or no? Why have I got 2 VS Code? Oh, that's because that was the other project. We're not using that now. Okay, and I'm going to have to build a task. Learning from last time, we're going to make sure that, so this is now using 3.8.4. We'll update our tools because, in fact, let's try this. Okay, before we do, now I've updated the desktop GL, but this also has a dependency on this, the core project. So both the star kits and all our modern samples now, to get you ready for building multi-platform solutions, or also making it easier to upgrade, because you just need to change the platform. You don't need to change your entire game. So we use basically a C# library for holding all our code and also all our content. That means we can just quickly plug in another platform to it. So if I want to add Vulkan to my project, I just add another Vulkan project and reference my core project. And thanks to the power of the ever unchanging API, it will always work. But anyway, we need to make sure this library is also up to date. So now go away. Stop reminding me. I don't care. Okay, so just well, we did update it. Okay, so that's still working. Now, the user's obviously having issues, and so it's not quite as obvious. So we've proved that taking a clean 3.8.2 project up to 3.4 works. And showing we got, granted, we didn't even update the tool and that still worked, which is confusing as hell, because generally speaking, if this is our sync project, it wouldn't build. Or if I try and open the content project, is this going to shout to me? Open the MGP-CB editor. Okay, now that worked. I have no idea why that's working, but hey ho. But we haven't solved the problem here. So to be able to identify what the user is reporting here, maybe we need to go further back. So if they've got an old project and they've updated to 3.8.2, maybe there's the issues, case of like in upgrading from 3.0. So if they've not followed this guide specifically, which talks about changing the net targets and also this, because if we look back, if I remember rightly, okay, so in 3.8.2, if we go into code view, let's make this bigger as well. Okay, no, we don't. Stop opening windows for me. I don't want you to. Okay, can it? There we go. Zoom. You can zoom. So if we look at our desktop GL project in the 3.8.2 branch. Okay, so this is using the target framework.NET 8. Now, if my memory serves, back in 3.8.0 or possibly in 3.8.1, let's go back in time. You'll see here that the target frame used to be a NetCore app. Now, this is because we were using the old NetCore and Net Standard libraries, not the modern Net framework. So if the user is upgrading from that, they potentially would have got warnings, or they might be using .NET 6, possibly. So let's test that. Let us go back in time. Okay, we need to undo what we've done here. Revert. Yes, we updated those. We'll make sure we also clean up, because we obviously built the project there, so we want to clean it up. We want to make sure we've got a clean base here to try and replicate any issues. Okay. And this is something we do with a lot of issues and things. We don't just take it at face value. We try our damnedest to try and recreate this. But anyway, let's see now. Okay, so let's go back further in time. I've got a project from 3.8.0. I don't think we need to go any further back than that, because before that, things were really dark. So, well, look at this. We've only got Neon Shoot and Platformer now. How terrible times though. We only had 2 samples. Granted, Neon Shooting is awesome. I do like that. The author Michael, who donated it to the project, it was great. So Anyway, right, so we're using 3.8.4, 3.0. I guess I know I've got multiple solutions. I don't care. Now, the other interesting thing, notice that, so this is before we start using the .NET tooling. So this is where you would have installed the MGBC editor globally, not per project. So you'll notice there is no .github folder here, which actually has all the configuration in it. But anyway, so repeating what we just did, desktop.gl, build. So this is going to use, yeah, we've got a lot, because I've got the .NET 9 SDK installed. It's going to go through warnings that I wouldn't have had back then, but I can't do anything about that unless I really want to wipe my machine back. But I don't think we're there yet. Okay, so I've got my project. It's building, it's built-in content, and it's still working as expected. Lots of sound, audio, tests, and things like that. Right, so what if we just, when the, oh no, let's see, when, just double check here now. So, okay, so if you update, I'm going to guess that they're doing this literally, so they're just updating the libraries to 3.8.4. So if we do that, okay, let's clear that. Get rid of you because we're just working with here, and I go back to my page, and I'm going to just, I could do it really manually, but let's do it this way because I prefer doing by command line. So I'm in the desktop.gl project, and we can update that to 3.4. Good. Install the package. Oh, that's the core. Updating the desktop.gl solution there. Okay, I'm going to take a short, just for brevity, because we're already half an hour in. We haven't even managed to recreate the issue here. So connect up to 3.4. Again, because it's the split library, we're going to update this to 3.4. We have no tools. So what now? Right, okay. So we got issues now. Okay, so let's go look at the code. Hide you. Yes or no? Now this is it. So this is into, we've actually managed to recreate the issue. So now basically it's saying that we don't know, not showing us any errors, but none of these references are lighting up. Okay, let's change to the actual solution. This should give us a bit more detail on what's going on. So this is now causing the Roslyn compiler within VS Code to load the project builder references. Oh, we got new questions while I was doing. Good point, Dean. So in doing any kind of project, if you're not clean, if you're testing and trying to clean, if you're not getting a clean build, you might not. It might actually be caching what you've built. So though your bin and your object folders, it'll say they're up to date and not change them because you're not changing the code. But okay, so let's do that. Let's go and clear out. Okay, we'll do our bin and controllers. If anyone knows if VS Code has got a clean option, because obviously, yes, go away. Right, so bring our terminal back up. Right, okay, so yes, this is now throwing. See, look, if you look in here now, nothing's lighting up. So he says, hold on, no. There's two. Okay, so we're complaining about MGCB. Open up our content. Oh, hello. Because the tool, because it's not doesn't exist. Right, now, if we're upgrading from 3.0 to 3.8.4, obviously that's using the new. Thank you, Dean. Yes, let's get rid of the content one, but I can't even open the content project at the moment. Anyways, right, let's see, get rid of our bin option files, because obviously we need to make sure we build our content, but this can't find the MGBC editor because, but we've updated 3.4 and we've noted the one thing we are missing as part of the upgrade strategy is we don't have the .NET tools. So let's see now. I should have, in fact, we do have from the project we created earlier, this project here, which has our .config folder with our .NET tools. So I can just copy that. Let's just drag it. And we want it at the, now, one thing that some people get trips people up. If you're having a single project and you're having the tools config, it's fine being just the tools config project. However, if you have a solution folder, the .config folder needs to be actually at the solution root. So I'll hide all those. This down here, and we will then there just copy it. So now we've got our config and we're at 3.8.4. So if I do that, so now if I go in and open my content, we should find the tool. We should hopefully open it. No, now. Okay, so here we hit one of the little caveat of things. So in 3.8.0, we had the Windows Universal, the UWP platform, which has since been deprecated. But for some reason, when I created this project, no, that's not going to open. When we created the project, we've actually left it at defaulting to a project that doesn't exist anymore. So in 3.8.4, there is no UWP or Windows Store App build. So the MGBC editor can't even open because that doesn't exist. Yes, getting lots of feedback in channel now. So edit that now. That means I should be able to now open up. There we go. Right, so there's all our content. Now if we build it, this is all for 3.8.4. Oh, well and good. Right, so our content's building. So how about the rest of the project? So right, okay, so right. Now we're getting lots of we are. So again, right, now we're getting the crux of it now. So now we've got the obvious problem here that it can't find the XNA library. So if I go and look at the actual code, hopefully Rosalind's going to update this time. Okay, where's game CS? There we go. Now what's weird is that, yes, it's recognizing it here. It's not coming up as an error. Let's have a look at the desktop project. Rosalind can't. Okay, so yeah. So we've actually found the issue now. Oh, sorry, Jeremy. That's going on stream. Okay. Yeah, I still write code. So here we are. Right. Finally, we got to the crux of it now. Now, the obvious reason for this, and again, if you follow the migration guide, the first thing it says in the migration guide, if we go back to it now, is that you need to update the target framework. The old 3.8.0 builds don't use the net framework. So that's the first thing that will happen. So we can quickly fix this. Now, bear in mind this is for 3.8.4. And again, this is another reason why I need to update this documentation, is that that's for net 6. That was what we did in 3.8.1. So one version up. But if I updated a 3.8.0 project to 3.8.2, it would still work because the libraries and things we were using back then were still compatible, still worked. But if you're updating to the latest, It's not going to happen. So we can quickly fix this by going and changing our target framework. But we're going to use 8, not 6, because we're not living in the dark ages anymore. Our core project, that's using net standard, which is the old library project, so we need to update this as well to net 8. And that should be it. Right. Now, okay, so stop complaining about packages. I don't care. Right. Right, what are you still complaining about? Have I not saved it? Again, okay, stream can kill me. I forgot to save a file again. Actually, that caused me 20 minutes of issues one time because I hadn't saved the file. Right there, restore. No, do not net build. Okay, I'm gonna throw this up now. I think I put it on there. I didn't. Right, when we get back to chatting, we'll do that. Okay, so there, problem solved. So the reason for this issue here, so because they've upgraded from 3.8.2, obviously they've upgraded originally from a 3.8.0 or earlier build up to 3.8.2 and then tried to upgrade to 3.8.4. This has then caused these referencing issues because the template that the project is using or the target framework is using is incompatible. So, problem solved. Now, obviously, that's answered the question of why it's not working. Okay, let's also make sure, let's just run this to make sure we're absolutely 100% sure. Yep, there we go. The project is working. Upgraded a 3.8.0 project to 3.8.2. Now, the question we need to answer ourselves is how the user got into the state, apart from not reading the migration guide. So that's probably a partly fault on ourselves in not making this guide more critical or more available to users, but also there's not enough in here. So there's a little known thing now. If I try to take up to the 3.8.5 release, we've made some improvements. Now the improvements relate down to in here. You'll see this. Where's the project file? Where's the desktop gem now? Oh, okay. Interesting. This original the original 3.8.0 project didn't this, so it must be something we added in a later release. So we can see this now if we look at the samples. So we go back to our samples. So 3.8.0, this is what we've got. We just got project references, we got NuGet references, and using the legacy old netcore. So if I take this up to 3.8.2, you can see some changes that were actually updated here for the new tooling. So when we move to actually using, as you can see here, there's the actual .NET config within the project. Oh, no, that's the GitHub. Where is this? In the sample, there we are, the .config. So the .NET Tools config parts of the project. This is where we added the MGBC editor into a project rather than global in the entire solution. To make that happen, though, we needed to tell the MS Build project that if you've not got the packages, to restore them. So you'll see this here, and this changed again if we get to 3.8.4, which is sort of public release today. Oh, look at part. What have I been doing here? Oh, shit game. Go back to platformer. Stop wandering. There we go. And you'll see here it's changed slightly on data. We've refined and working on this. But what we found is that if anyone's having an issue where they can't open the MGBC editor, they're getting strange compiler issues because of some references, usually again because this .NET Tools config is out of sync with what the reference is in your project. This caused all sorts of nightmares because forcing restore and forcing it to do this generally caused it to do this every single time trying to build. this would sometimes mean that the package would try to re-download multiple times, and other such strange things. So one of the things we've done in 3.8.5 is we've actually moved this. This is now no longer needed in your modern project, and this is something else we need to address in the migration guide. So if you're going from 3.8.4 and you need to upgrade, you simply need to remove that. It's no longer needed in your project. And we can show this now. So if I go and let's see, right, let's download. In fact, we'll use the release that was done today. So from the last stream I did on Friday, where we're trying to do a new patch release to address the Android certification issues and policy updates to do with the page files and things like that. And we didn't quite get there, but I've been hard at work over the weekend, and we've finished that off now. You saw all the work that was actually happening. There was just some tweaks, some changes in the build server, and also through the process of that, we found something that if I tried to test it on our Mac server here for doing local testing, I completely broke our automation. So we learned something else new. But thankfully, I've got it working again. So, no, I don't do that. I just want, I copied the wrong line. Nope, I don't want that. I want to install these. So, preview 3.1. So this is the preview release. This is something I'm going to release hopefully early next week. This is for anyone who's currently got an Android project live and they're getting concerns or policy updates from Google that they need to update. This is the release you need. You just need to update to this, rebuild your project, make sure it's targeting minimum .NET 9, and that's it. It should just work in public. You can polish it. All your policy worries will go away until Google decides to change something else. All right, new desktop gel. Now this one's going to be 3.4.1. There isn't a template called that. Now we want to name it that. There you go. Yes, I know there's a 3.05 that's released that's new, but I want to use this one. Okay, and if we open up this one and go here, there we go. Now this is where I challenged my memory to remember why I was opening up this in the first place. So if you look in this latest project now, you'll notice that section is gone. And this will still build, still work, still fine. But effectively, we are handling this now in the framework, in the back end. We've got .targets and .properties files that are set up to do the restore, but only do the restore when it needs to. Very crucial, so we don't have problems in trying to repeatedly do this. And we eventually got fed up of getting this to work. You'll also notice now this is updated .NET 9. So this is what we worked on in the last stream, and now it's all there in practice. And we go and run this now. We have our lovely cornflower brew. Hopefully everything will work. So net restore. No, I don't know. Okay, tool restore to make sure we're using the right tools, which I don't think we will. Okay, bear in mind, I've just created, I know this is the 3.8.4.1 template, which is set to use the 3.8.4.1 tools. A downside of this wildcard we use now is that 3.8.star will use the latest public release on the 3.8 branch, which currently is the 3.8.4 release, but we don't want that. We want to use this new preview one. It won't actually make that much of a difference, but we need to make sure we got our tools in line with our project version to ensure there's no issues now. So I'll do .NET restore again because we've got our tools. Now, bear in mind, you don't have to do these because we're handling it all in the project. It should just work. So we should build that. If I go and open my MGBC editor, please work. Don't embarrass me on the stream. Yay, there we go. If they're out of sync, what you might find is that it'll say couldn't open, come up with some error, and then you'll just get a blank project with nothing in it. generally means your tools are not in sync. And okay, so we now need to update the documentation fairly quickly. We've got 15 minutes left to reflect this, because we don't want people getting mistaken, especially as they move up to the new releases now. We need to ensure that they are updating both .NET 9, and they're also going to ensure that they update their CS Pro to remove the section we no longer need, and also ensure that everything's up to date. We'll also make this migration guide a little bit easier to understand. So at the moment, it only talks about 3.8.0, but things have moved on. And I don't want to write an entire new guide because there's all links to this guide already. I also want to make sure I don't want to change this name, because obviously there's a lot of SEO and links that are pointing to it. But anyway, and this, so we got our doc site which is where everything else on. I have no idea generally what that means, but thank you. Wowzers, granted, maybe it means something different today. In my day, Wowzers was good. It was Scooby-Doo. We're Wowzer. It was all good fun. Okay, I'm going to throw this up on it. So in the doc site and everything else you need to know for getting up to date, there's a QR code there for going live. And if you look at that, you get access to all the docs. Similarly as well, we've also got the samples are all there. And if you want to get started and going straight into all the things that are good about the MonoGame framework, I thought I had a link for this. Where are we? Oh, we don't. Oh, there's a QR code for the getting started. And if you can, and you like MonoGame, if you can at all, helps please support MonoGame. We're working hard, ever faster, and using all the resources to do it, but we can only do it with your help. But anyway, let's minimize that. Getting started, let's hide that. Yep, thanks, Joe. Yeah, we're working hard, and in light of things and having this new stream platform, which MonoGame is paying for, so that's more pennies going out, as it were. But we intend to do more things like this. We're going to do a lot more live streams. Tom is eager to get online. He might even be on later tonight. I'm not sure. It depends on how his schedule is, because he wants to go through and finish through on the Vulkan updates and fixes. I've got to get this 3.8.4.1 release out, so we make sure that everyone can update their projects and get them updates on the Google Store to comply with their policies before November, which is fast approaching. But anyway, docs. Now, I could just edit the docs here. I can do here. I can create a PR things, but that's good. But you don't get a full experience. This is good little tweaks and changes and little things like that. But the extensions on the web portal, most of them don't work. I think the actions on the pull request one works, but not much else. So what we always love to do here at MonoGame is that we have our repositories. Okay, now bear in mind, one of my jobs in the MonoGame here is that I'm the gatekeeper for all the documentation to make sure the quality and things are high. Yes, some people know from PRs, things still get past me, and as they do, I improve my tools. I've been an author for over 10 years, lots of different books published, and as those who are fortunate or unfortunate enough to have done bounties, I'm quite a vicious taskmaster when it comes to validating all this documentation. So, right, I was just going to double check. Am I on the right branch? So, I'm on main. Which main am I on? Okay, I'm on my. Okay, so if you're used to or not used to Git, I have my origin branch, which is to my local fork of the MonoGame documentation. I then have an upstream link, which basically links my project to the source repository. I don't push anything up here. This is read-only. If I want to take things from my fork, work I've edited, and put it up onto the main doc site, then I'm going to create a pull request, which is basically a request to say, take this lovely code and things I've built, or documentation or whatever, and can you please put it in the main repository? We review it. If it's acceptable, we merge it, fine. And we do this for all work. Now, one caveat we say is, it comes up occasionally, is that yes, you could go and create a PR. Oh, look, my horse is saying nay. This is one of my fun things. I've got VS Code pets. I've got, so I'm going to get distracted now. I'm going to have a cocktail. Happy cocktail. There we go. I've got a cocktail. Oh dear, I'm going to go mad. Yeah, so all love the new friend in the room. Anyway, so you can do your work on a local main branch. It's fine, but generally we prefer you not to. What we say to do is you create a new feature branch and give it a name that's relative to what you're going to change it. So guide date. So this gives me a separate branch that I'm going to work on. I'm going to do all my changes, and then when I'm going to do a request to the back to the main repo, I'm going to make changes from this feature branch. So I know anything in this branch is unique to what changes are done in there. I'm not trying to figure out what's done here, there, and everywhere. If you try to do too many things to the same branch and do it update, it gets into a mess, and you end up either having to recreate the work or do something new. Anyway, we're working in this new feature branch. I'm going to update this guide. Now, the reason why I use VS Code locally is that I have lots of tools and extensions that help me as an author for checking things. First and foremost, one is a spell checker. But no, if I do a misspelling, it's going to come up and say, oh, look, the nice blue line, there's a misspelling here. Unfortunately, it doesn't know that low no longer is not the same thing. I've also got other tools in here. So if I give it a recommended, I've got lots of other things here. I've got the C# dev kit, obviously working on MonoGame projects. Code, we also have not just a spell checker, but a code spell checker. So it checks for Pascal case, camel case, whichever you're using, preferred standards. I've got things for testing GitHub Actions. I've also got down here, where are you? The Microsoft Learned Authoring Pack. Now, this is great because it has a collection of things in there which help you. It also checks markdown formatting. It helps to organize documents to make sure it's all compliant. Makes my life easy when I'm reviewing if people are using tools like this. But anyway, very useful. Highly recommend it. So let's see what we can quickly do here. Now, I don't want to do too much because we've only got 5 minutes left. I don't want to overrun too much tonight because I'd like to take some time and go and play Starfield or something. Take some time out after a busy day streaming. But we're working forward on what we're doing to update. Now, we're migrating from early release from 3.8.0. We can totally change the title of that. So, I'll probably have to come back and update this. We're making it a bit more prescriptive. Current 8.3.4. So this is making the document a bit more specific, saying if you're upgrading, this is what you're doing. From this should be straightforward for most platforms. Major difference now, it's not 3. See, this is how long it's been since we updated it. No requires, and it's not .NET 6. Technically speaking, from the version we're talking about now, from current releases for the latest current, once this new release goes out, it will be .NET 9. And yep, I also have Markdown linked in here as well, Dean. If I look here, it's one of my many tools. I do love that tool. It's great for also automatic formatting. And one thing I like that it really shows up is that if there are this, so this is a failure in Markdown to do, is case of like you must have spaces around things. Now, most Markdown compilers will automatically fix that when they publish it, but it's not guaranteed. Now, the ones we do, but anyway, we digress. So at 9, don't know. No, we don't require Visual Studio 22. So we're just saying things. So Now let's go to an old environment setup guide, because now, see, let's go into there. Now that's the old one. Oh, that's fine. It's okay. That document is still good for what that's talking about, because it's talking about setting up your environment. It goes to we retained when we updated the documentation, the original getting started guide. So you can see here, this is also what we've got as links in the documentation, which is here. So not only we got going straight to the fantastic 2D starting tutorial, we also have the dedicated links for setting up your environment or setting up your own code editor of choice, as it were. So anyway, let's get back to updating documentation. I can get rid of some of these. No, I'll keep those because I might need to refer to those in a second. So we can do setup. To recommend use. Okay. Now, tool. Use of the okay. I could type this name. So the amount of times I've seen this, I've edited this over the time. Let's get the name specifically. There we go. I like to be precise. Right. Okay, that's not less than that. It's more of an important. Now, if you're wondering where some of these things come from, so these are called admonitions, or several different names they come, and the ones we use. If I look here. Now, don't ask me why, but for some reason in DocFX they call them alerts, not admissions. So where are we? Look, I'm not going to say. There we go. Alerts. That's all the way over there. And what this does is, okay, so this is handy little short syntax in the documentation we can put in, and it creates these highlights automatically for us, so it's nice and clean. As to your question, Square, we're changing it for the default for all projects, just to keep up with it, because if you start to mix the versions between mobile and desktop, it can get funky. Again, it's only recommended. If you want to use .NET 8 in your client project, you can. If you want to use .NET 10 when it comes available in your client project, you can. It's not going to change that. MonoGame itself is a .NET 8 library, and as the question always comes up, and we'll update the version of .NET that MonoGame uses when it becomes prevalent and when it actually adds value, because there's no point just trying to change with the Windows and the new LTS comes out, because as we found repeatedly, whenever we upgrade any dependencies or any kind of frameworks, it incurs a lot of unintended issues that you might not have expected. So, for instance, Dean well knows the async issues that we've now been facing with updating that library. It's changed how models are imported. It's changed a lot of different things, how those will work, and it's actually created problems. So we only update as and when we need to, but from a client project, so long as it supports the .NET 8 MonoGame library, you can use whatever you like. Tea, Earl Grey. Not so hot right now. But anyway, so we have these admissions we can throw in. And so if I go back to here, I'm going to change this one to be actually an important. I'll explain why the cursor is there. And Oh, right. Sorry, we want to do. I'm going to make this a note. Um, oh, I hate this is one thing. Okay. Thank Atul. Thanks for joining, and off we go. You can check out later. We are finishing off soon. This is one of my things in docs that I hate. You can't say it or us or them or that when you're talking about something specific. Be specific. Okay. 1, 2. So we're being specific, saying you're doing this upgrade. It's light. We're not. Don't. There's no API change. There's no big massive change in the back end. There's just what you need to know and getting done. Now, interesting to see, like, okay. So this is nice, but it's not very clear what we're doing. So yes, we want to do this, but we want to restructure this now. So out of the process we're updating is that we need to highlight sort of the key elements that you need to really call out of what you actually want to change. So no, we're not nining. What's nining? I can't spell modern. Hey. Look. Libraries. No, we don't need three. We don't need 3 dots. Come on, let's make it nice and clean. Okay. Off. Two. And to your point, square that up in there, that while it's we're stating 9, this is just a recommendation. Again, being clear and good. Thank you for putting the question up there. Um, and let's take it clear though. Clearly it's a recommendation. Right. So so we update the target framework. Um, um, and again, another good guide when writing this kind of documentation is don't just say and do, also show. So we have samples here of how this is all set up. So make reference to it. Ensure that people have something to look at when they're doing these things. No, that's that one. We want the samples. There we go. Go back to the actual repository. Let's go there, and we just need to point them here. In fact, we'll point them straight at the platform sample, which shows the entire project. So click on this link, it's going to take me straight to a place where it shows me what this is talking about. We don't need number one. So there, nice, clear. We need to make sure that someone's updated the targeting framework, giving an example of what they want to look at. And the next one we need to do is that we're going to update references. Now, whereas I usually don't like having duplicate information in different places, oh, okay. I didn't think I'd actually said that, but yeah, I'm going to reply to this. Okay. And there we go. Right. So that's basically making out that, yes, stating here, saying the documentation, it's only. Oh, you're saying something? Have I put in the filled in documentation? Oh, okay. Oh, you're right. You're right. I did put it. My apologies. I've missed it. Thank you for the call. I love this code reading. Now you could have let me go quiet, and then you could have put a PR in later saying, no, I don't think this is right. You could have changed it. But thank you. We're cooperatively working on this now and getting these updated. So, that's not capital M, it's just an M. Right. Okay. So we've updated. Now we've addressed that thing. Let's see now. Yeah, Sean, we're we're updating updating the documentation to say 3.84 is current now. That means that I'm adding a penalty to myself that every new release we do, I need to keep this up to date, because this is about updating to the latest. Whatever you're on before, so as the title suggests, you're migrating from an earlier version of 3.8. Now, again, this includes. Oh, you're right. In fact, no, you're right. Sorry. I'm going to put that because that will be the new minimum. Although this is going to out before it's in, but okay. Even if you're upgrading from 3.8.4, you'll still need to follow these guides when we get to one of these sections here, because you need to remove the restore.net tools. Now, in my practice, I've noticed that it doesn't always conflict, but Dean and others have noted that leaving in that command can cause your project not to build. So, as part of the migration guide, even from 3.8.4 to 3.8.5, when we get there, you should remove that section, which we're going to ensure that we add into here. I'm also going to put a little note to myself here. I don't like having documents that don't have links to specific sections, and also numbering out what steps you need to do in advance if you're doing that. So anyway, okay, I'm also going to do another thing which is that, and again, I want to make sure I refer back to this. No, it's not. No, it's not in any of these two ones that are open because I deleted them. Did I leave it in? No, I didn't. Okay, fine. Let's go over here because we got our samples. Let's see, platform 2D just okay, make sure I got the name right. Because we need to also make sure we have a section in for removing this. Okay, that'll remind me. That's some legacy stuff I was talking about there. Okay, so game. Oops. Yeah, I know. I do this. Don't ask me why. I grew up typing. It still to me is that even if I make a mistake to go all the way back, I keep slapping myself on the wrist every time I do it, because yes, this is a technology world. So if I do that, I can just go back and I can do that. But no, I still find myself deleting it all back and going through and get. I'm from the days of when you used to have a typewriter and you had Tipex, which basically you put white out and then you went back and then you typed over it again. It looked terrible, but it was such fun. Yes, bad spell. See, right. That's it. I've done it again. Now I'm also going to put a note, because people sometimes don't also ask why you've got that 3.8.store. And there's a wildcard to basically say wherever the latest public one is. So you don't have to change it. But the caveat to that is there's that every time you open that project, every time you build it, if we've updated MonoGame, it will automatically update your project. Now, bear in mind, if your tools are out of line with your project version, it can cause hassle. So again, this has caused another one of those lovely little things. Oh yes, Square, I'm going to be deleting that section. I was only there now just for. I never delete stuff off a document until I'm actually ready to take it. And now there we go. People can ask. So this is the question from Square saying that I should be removing the last bit. It's just my authoring process. I never remove anything from a document until I'm finished, because I might need to refer back to or copy it or check over over anything else of correcting to ensure I don't miss anything, because I have forgotten something in the process of writing it. And yeah, so again, I still keep doing it. Okay, and again, I'm just going to copy it. I trust my memory. Usually about as far as I can throw it. Let's take this entire section just to make clear. Game. That's a good point. From another point of view, you might not have a tools config coming from 3.8.0 project, so we need to point them to actually having a copy of what they need to put in there. So remove .stores. In fact, that's the last thing. So it's not that. We'll keep the casing of this correctly. Well, how do I refer to? There we go. Right, okay, so yes, there's 4 points there. This started becoming like Spanish Inquisition. We have 4 tools at our command. I'll come up with the 5th one in a minute. I'm gonna have to bring up that point again with the team. It's useful and it's not. Okay, and now, okay, it's not complaining this time. If you have numbered headings and you have a section in between, but that comes in between the numbered sections, it can cause problems. But all you do is just indent that, and it solves the problem. But anyway. I'm going to do that anyway because it's a good idea to have if you have content in between bullets. Hi, Kadir. Okay, right. We're taking a break from our show now to answer a question. Okay, this is actually a good point, Kadir. That comes up occasionally. No. In MonoGame, we don't remove anything, even though, as well, like with the content builder project, which will be as soon as that's officially available, which can be like 3.8.6, maybe a little bit after, we're still not removing the MonoGame content builder. Similarly, when Vulkan's released, bear in mind, in the 3.8.5 release, it's only in preview, so it's not for production projects. Same with DX12, same with the content builder. But no, once Vulkan becomes the default or the preferred way of building MonoGame, Desktop GL will still exist. The sort of split personality you have is that if you have an existing OpenGL project that you want to keep on OpenGL, you're still going to need all the tools and things you build for OpenGL. If you're doing Vulkan, we've removed a lot of the weight of that, especially if you're building on Mac or on Linux. Because OpenGL will always need Wine, because you'll need Wine to be able to do x64 compilation of shaders. With Vulkan and DX12, we're sort of removing that dependency because, thank you, Microsoft, they're releasing tools which are natively compiled for those platforms, which allows to compile shaders. But I'm not going to talk too much about that because it's not my area of expertise. Stay tuned for other streams, and you can even ask Tom when he comes online, as he knows more. Actually, no, Harry knows more, but I don't think you can find him on the stream. But you can ask him in chat or in Discord or in the open hours, and we can get that question too. Anyway, back to our show, because I want to get this document finished. Well, hardly half an hour is going to do, but hey ho, we're here to stream, we're here to demand, and we're here to serve our community. So You can have the edit to approach, or you can use the what do I call this documentation? What am I calling it? It is no, it's not the migration guide. No, I've closed that page. So okay, I go down to getting to know. Go to a how-to section, and there's this lovely document hidden. It shouldn't really be hidden. Let's say it's the guide. Okay, what do we call the section? Okay, use this. Well, the views are marked down a second. Okay. Yes, that's not how you spell documentation. All right, so now, interesting fun fact. So this document is located in here. Now I want to link to a document that's in. You're getting to know how to there. So we need a relative link that goes to there. So we are going up one into the how-to. So getting to know. Now this is a feature in VS Code with the Markdown link and the Learn tools. I love, and it only works if you're working locally. I can actually do relatively fast and actually look through the paths when I'm actually writing it. So how to, and I want the so pre-release, but I also want the heading in this document. So I can copy you, and I just want this last bit. So it means it's going to open up directly in the place where I want it to do. There. Sometimes this thing scares me about how the IntelliSense automatically knows in advance. Oh, it's not copied from there, it's copied from the document itself. There, and that one. Let's just indent you. And again, if I have to ask myself a question in documentation, I'd usually try to. Okay, sorry. This is what I get for looking back over at chat. Thank you, Square, for making me giggle for a while. OpenGL, the desktop GL project is not frozen yet. It's still an active platform, and we're still doing improvements. So when people ask us to do stuff, and if we think that it's valuable to current projects now, because bear in mind, Vulkan, although it's upcoming, it's not here yet. It's also not going to be in the next, not going to be in the 3.8.5 release as a production release. And there's a question on 3.86. It depends on how the testing goes. So as it's a current active platform, and we've had requests to do some feature changes. For instance, there's been some PRs to do things change with input, with STL, and other things. It's not frozen now. So yes, we will. still potentially do maintenance fixes or feature updates if there's significant demand or if there's a request to do it and we have someone with experience and time to do it. The same as we're still accepting PRs to OpenGL or other features that we're doing, as long as it's not changing the boundaries. So I think the biggest question I always come back about why we're not doing what they call a type of shader, compute shaders. Yeah, we're not going to add compute shaders because that will change drastically the API for MonoGame. So that doesn't make sense. But adding things like adding a new feature, adding like texture 3D, that's within our remit, our house for maintaining it. So yes. And I'm forgetting what I'm typing now. I digress. You're throwing me off, Square. You're really throwing me off. Okay, so making it clear, we're doing the updates. We're only doing what we need to do. So, what? Yeah, I'm finding this in certain platforms now. We're getting spam. I've never had spam in streams, but hey ho. Okay, right. So, yeah, you're not going to update an iOS project for. Yeah, you're only going to run these commands if you're updating a desktop GL project. If you're running an update an iOS one, you don't do desktop GL, you do iOS. Right, and as we are doing a call out here, I want another report here because even though it is the next section and your eye simply follows on, it's a call out to ensure the fact that your .NET tools is also up to date whenever you check. So if you update MonoGame, you update your tools because it doesn't do it automatically, and we can't because your config is somewhere in your project, and .NET does a traversal through your project to find out where the correct config is or what you're using. We don't know. We have no way of knowing and no way of even telling you, and NuGet can't tell you. So, MonoGame you are using. Okay, right. So, hey, Feta, welcome to the stream, and happy to see you here. If you've not watched the rest, it's all recorded, so you can go back and watch it. And if any, okay, and I'll throw this up again now. If anyone wants to chat or wants to ask questions about the stream after the stream's ended, then we have a dedicated Discord channel just for the stream. So you're not convoluted or asking questions on other channels. You go to these places, you look, you'll find out what you need to see and what needs to do. And I'll leave that up for a second. Okay, so we've now ensured that we're telling people to update .NET. In fact, let's keep going. It's a .NET target framework, nothing else. We're going to make sure we update MonoGame, and now going to make sure that they update the tools. And lastly is the new thing for 3.8.4.1, which is also part of the line heading towards 3.8.5, because this will be relevant there, is doing a bit of cleanup on your project to ensure that you're up to date, because of things we're doing to ensure that you don't need to, cleaning things out, cleaning house, make sure your project's clean. for those who are quite astute and noticed on the last team when I was playing around with the binaries release, is that it's literally 2 lines or so to change between doing a desktop GL to doing Vulkan. It's just simply taking it doing packages, but so long as all this is in place. If it's not, you're going to hit issues. And if you have issues, now I will claim. So it's getting 10:30 now. Try and clearly state that if you do hit issues, please tell us. Don't necessarily complain on Discord or Twitter or Bluestream or Blue Sky or Mastodon. Go to the Discord, talk to your other fellow developers about it, but to make us aware, log an issue on GitHub. So go to our GitHub page. Where? I'm losing the will. Where is it? There we are. Go to our GitHub page and then log an issue. That's the clearest way you can let us know anything goes. Now, there's no such thing as a stupid question or a stupid prompt. If you're having an issue, and if the help in the Discord isn't helping, or you ask and you get no response, log an issue. That's the fastest and quickest way for the MonoGame Foundation to know that you're having a problem and to discuss it with you. Simple as. And again, put as much information there as you can. If you really can, give us a sample project, not necessarily your real project. If you want to share your real project with us, you can, but we'll do that through a direct message or something offline so no one else can see it. And we'll get in touch. Now, this is not paid support. Again, we only have limited time and limited resources to do these things, but we will always do our utmost to help out anyone who's having problems. Or you can ask on the stream and we'll just answer you, maybe, possibly. As everyone's doing today, distracting me from writing the docs and finishing up. We're heading for 2 hours again. I smell a rat. Okay, so no, I've done it right this time. Have you made intention of putting the word currently near on purpose? There was a comment located down here now about uninstalling the global tools, which I'm going to pull back into this section. So again, this is why I never delete anything when I'm working on these things. I keep it in case I need to refer to it or add it, and also then save me having to type it out. And again, this is where I ask if I can ask myself a question. I answer the question myself, and working through this kind of documentation. Using versions of MonoGame. Why can I not keep on brand? No. Okay, so there was a note here about here we are. I did not know that. That also wouldn't work. Oh well. So I want to put this into an entire section call-out. No blank lines. So let's see, I'm referring back to some documentation before. No, I don't mind this. Don't repeat yourself. This is where I usually go. I am one for going over work documentation simply because if there's a question unanswered, then that's a failure in documentation, because then you're lost. You don't know where to go to or why. Now this is this OI? No, it's just text. And I'm going to copy a. Oh, we had it up early, didn't we? There we go. Okay. No, can make my life easy and put this into it. We use DocFX for compiling documentation, and as a feature where I can actually put this into a file and then refer to the file and have it look there. But I'm not doing that right now. I might do a PR later. I might do a PR on this PR later and actually do it there. That's a comma, not a full stop. One nice feature as well with kind of is that, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Why am I doing that? I want to preview. I can, is that preview? Oh no, they moved it. Oh, sorry, damn. Right, so the latest thing you can now show a markdown preview to side. There we go. I'll get rid of you. So this gives you a rough idea what it's going to look like. But I'm going to show you a nice little trick when working with documentation, how we can actually make it look like it's going to look. But anyway, let's finish this now. There's the file. Okay, right. Let's speed this up a bit. Right. Yes, well, we're cleaning up now. Is now handled within the okay, now I need to pull out that section. Let's do it from the here. No, okay. I'm going to go for an older one, 3.8, because although we updated the messaging and things like that, it's like there's no point putting all of that into here. And it was quieter and cleaner. There we go. And I'll simply put a note on it saying it might, it's looking similar, but it might not be exact. No white spaces. Thank you. I'll put it as a note to call out. There we go. Drop a note. Yeah, we don't need. Thank you. To remove the .NET Restore tools. Again, just making it very, very clear. There's no ambiguity. This is the thing you're doing. Solution that are referring or that are dependent. Not on them again. Right. Do we have anything else in here that we cared about? We're doing some things. Okay, well, we did already have a version of this, but it's obviously an old one. Oh, so now, see, this is again handy little things. That's actually quite an important note. That means we're having no. It's after this bit here. You can't have wildcard. Now, this is one of the frustrating things about that tools configuration is because you can't have wildcards. It's only ever a specific version. Does this mean okay? It gets. If you're using a wildcard, make sure that they don't miss much. Again, it's calling back to factory tools. Okay, so there's that. There's that. Interesting note. See, this says you should add it, and we're telling you should remove it. But an interesting point: if you're coming 3 to 0, this section won't exist. So we do actually need to put a note on it at the beginning of this. Let's make it a call out. How to do. .0. Blade. Yes. Can't have section twice, so you're telling us no camel element, so yeah. Right, okay, so that's that. Anything else? Now And yeah, there is a specific caller hide. Now, we haven't mentioned it before. But, okay, yeah, it's worth having an extra section last at the end about iPad and Android, because what we're saying is that what are we trying to say? We're basically saying that now, this is something, obviously, if you're watching the stream, you saw things like this coming up. So, and obviously, in the migration guide, we're pointing out the fact that this is why 3.8.4.1 exists. Oops, no. Now, okay, if I go back to our project, we created it. Did I still have it open? Yes. So, if I look in our... Yes, that's... No, oh, no, this is a... I need an Android. Do I have an Android? No, in test. Not going to have to generate one. No. That makes sense. Okay, let's go here. We've got our MonoGame.templates project. And this is how I find all my... in our template. Going off because this is what we've set. Find Android. And then our manifest, and we're saying that the target SDK version must be 35. We did actually update the template. Now, we did change this to both 35 in the stream last, but realizing when testing, the minimum we can set much lower. It is only the target SDK that is required to be set at 35 to comply with the Google policies. So explain, okay, where did I learn to type? Yeah, I was going to shoot myself in the foot here. I'm going to have to come back and check this every now and again. Right, and what do we call it in there? So one of the other things we had to check is that in the iOS templates, when moving up to .NET 9, you also have to have, let's see, it's in the P list, 12.2. What did we call it here? Okay. Now, there's an interesting thing when I was in testing is that if I don't set the supported OS platform version in the CS project as well as in the info P list. For some reason, the iOS or the .NET Framework building solution set to 36 or something ridiculous, and then nothing works. So that's very clear. Interesting markdown fact: you have to have a black line at the end. Just one. Okay, so I think that's all I need to say about that. Right, so we can now get rid of all of this stuff. We've gone through it. There's nothing else in there. Don't need you, don't need you, don't need you. There. Right. And now I want to make sure I go back and add a talk. Because I said I wanted to have one. I'm going to go back and change my headings. I could retype this, or I'm going to. Again, this is where this saves me, because let's see, updating type framework. Next one. No, I'll leave it as not two, I don't care. MonoGame references. Nearly here, and then we can show you the last. Okay, there's two more. Do really need that. Now, I don't know if that's going to affect the header. Let's see. Nope, it seems it's perfectly happy with it. Because that's what they are. I'm going to copy that because I know it's at the end. Okay, yes, I know I need it. Right, last one. Come on, rushing to the finish, and then we can look at this. Lost it. There we are. Remove. Right. Okay. Come on, rush to the finish. Can we do this in 5 minutes? Right. Okay. So that's the guide documentation update. This is what everyone's going to see when they go out. But now, the secret sauce. The MonoGame Docs itself is a DocFX project. And while it's nice, you can do all the changes, you can push it up, you'd never know what it's going to look like until it's actually published. Except, thanks to our good friend, Aris Turtle, or Chris, there is documentation on the beginning of the site which tells you how you can actually run the entire site locally, so you get to look how it looks before it publishes, which is also very good, and it saves me having to do it for you. Please do this. So basically, include what we need to do here is make sure we're on .NET 2 install. This is not going to do anything on my machine because mine's today's. It's going to say, "Yay, we're so successful!" But this will install docfx and a few other things. And then we've got PowerShell and Bash commands. I'm running PowerShell because that's what my environment is. And if I run this, now this is going to take a little time. Hopefully not too much time. Let's try and get rid of this. While that's doing that, I can check I'm going to get my commit. Because again, maybe somewhere from last time, when you're making changes and commits to anything in MonoGame, we're triply careful. So we're doing this one document. The changes in this document, okay, it's one of my achievements, you're going to go right. If you want, you can look and see how that's doing yourself. So we're seeing all the changes. I'm going to do, this is not going to file a version because I'm going to do some proofing offline. The main document's run. I'm going to do some checks. We're going to get this PR up tonight. I'm not going to merge it or accept it. I'm going to make sure it builds. Yeah, that's looking fine. So once this is built, we can have a quick look at our validation. Now, you will note when you see this building, embarrassingly, there are lots of warnings. None of it's affecting MonoGame. It's just part of the documentation. Our Suddenly, and a huge team of the community went away and actually looked through all the code comments in MonoGame. It's an onward struggle even. Right, okay, so this is now run. Now this is running now a local version of the documentation site on my machine. There it is. It's all up and running. And now I know I need to go to the documentation hub, and I'm going to go to migration and looking at 3.8.0. I don't want to change that. I can't change that name. Well, it says 23. So, okay, I'll see if I go in this. But now, okay, so this is now rendering the document I've just created. Now, I could actually keep doing this over and over again, but this is, I would say, a highly recommended trick when you're working with any kind of documentation, because it's going to show you how it looks. Now, if you've done a typo, if I've got one of these admonitions wrong and it's not rendering, I will see it. And I'll see it before I publish it to the site. But anyway, so there we got our contents. These links work good. Yeah, there, no obvious spelling mistakes. All my notes coming up right. Let's see, there's my sections there for updating the references. Update the packages. Nice important. Okay, there are links there. It's also good if you got any videos or links or images that if the image can't be found, it instantly shows up in this preview. That notes works. Okay, that's a cursory glance now. That looks good. I am going to do some more updating and changing later, but for now, to close the stream, 2 hours. I was not intended to do 2 hours. It was going to be an hour. But it did take us quite a while to actually replicate the issue that the user was facing. And we've addressed that. And also, hopefully, anyone who's watching the stream has also learned some tips and tricks about how to keep their project up to date. Drink tea. Okay, and meaningful message. And I've just realized I'm going to do one other change. So I'm going to do this commit. I'm going to make the one last change to update that link in the side. Yeah, look, like even spelling mistakes are spotted in my commit messages. I'm not sure where you're flabbergasting at, John, but thank you. That anyone's still on the stream by this time is just amazing. Right. Cool. No. What? No. Upgrade. Okay. Right. So I'm going to come with that. I'm not going to push it yet because there is one last thing I want to do. So with this, come on, pets. Sorry, pets. I need to put you to sleep. I'm not going to put you to sleep. I'm going to put you down. There we go. Go to sleep, nice and quiet. So with all these documents and things, how DocFX keeps them organized is that effectively you have table of contents, like I did in the documents where I've got this nice, I've got two things open, no, not that. So while I've got this nice table of contents for the document itself, we do also have table of contents for the site, and these are in these .yaml files, which link up, and that gives all the stuff there. Now, what I'm going to need to do is in this main, I believe it's in this main one. We do have a few littered around here where we need to, but generally speaking, we have that one. Is that going to be too long? Probably. Yeah. No, it's just. Okay. There. In fact, that's more clear because we're not migrating really. This isn't really a migration document. It's actually an upgrade documentation. So you're either migrating next day, so you're going from something else to MonoGame. If you're going from a really old version of MonoGame to the latest, so you're migrating from there. But here we're upgrading. So in fact, should we name this document? I know it's still called migrate. I'm not going to change the name of the document. Yeah, we're upgrading. Oh. There. Yeah. So now we can say it's upgrading, it's not migration guide. But we're not changing the document name because I don't want to break links. I'm not renaming anything else. If I wanted to, I could run this build again. But again, it's going to take time, and I want to go and play. Sorry, stream. I want to go and play. I'm digging Starfield at the moment. I'm trying to mainline it and get it finished. But hey ho, that's just me. Either I've got Death Stranding on PC, or as ever, too many things to play and not enough time to play when you're busy doing this. That's not proofing update. Update. Right, I'm going to call it quits there because there we go. I'm going to publish this branch. Now, note I'm publishing it on my own fork of the documentation thing, not back to the main site. I need to do that. Now, a good thing with VS Code is that it'll say, oh, do you want to create a pull request? Yay! And if I'm working in my own fork and going to the base MonoGame project, it works. It's fine. It identifies the base of things. Now, as people will know, oh yes, I do like the idea of Silk Song, but I'm not that much of a hardcore player. I must admit. It has occurred to me as well in all the stream things is that what we also do need is to talk with other MonoGame developers and let's play those games. I want to show a MonoGame where we play MonoGame games, and if it's multiplayer, get more people doing. Yay! But anyway, I forgot what I was saying now. So yeah, that works. But when I'm reviewing tutorials and things like that, I'm working for branch or a branch or a branch, and if I need to do updates and changes to their project, I'm using my fork of MonoGame, but then I need to rework the pull request, not to go back to MonoGame, but to go to their branch. And it can't do that. It's too complicated. But anyway, with any PR, now this is again a stern recommendation. If you're doing a PR, be descriptive. It helps us when we're reviewing to know what on earth you're doing it. So I'm not going to put any random text in, so I'm going to nicely format it. So the summary, update to the 3.8.0 migration guide to no, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it. To modernize it for the upcoming 3.8.4.1 release. It is not a migration. So not only saying what I'm doing, I'm saying I'm trying to put. It doesn't need to be heavy, doesn't need to be lengthy, doesn't have to thing, but give us at MonoGame enough information to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, if at all possible. changes retained. Right there. No, yeah, this. Yes, Copilot is invading everywhere now. For documentation, yeah, yeah, okay. Now another personal thing is if you're doing a PR, put your name on it. I'm the one who's built this thing and is doing with it. And it's going to go off and do things. And if I click on this link now, whoa, okay, no. I've clicked over here instead of over here. I can request. I'm going to do it because why not? The Copilot review is useful information. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to fix anything. It's not going to do anything. But it lets you know in advance of things which may be done. I mean, my own proofing. So even when I'm writing this documentation, I'm not publishing it straight away. I've got about, as an author, I've got 3 or 4 different stages that I go through for proofing any material I write. Everything from grammar and contextual checking, code, especially if it's a tutorial. I'm doing an independent code review. And as the authors of the bounties will know, my common recommendation is if you're going to review a tutorial, turn your brain off. You follow what's on the guide, you copy it as it is on the page. If you don't get the same result, then you've done something wrong. It's a very easy thing to do, except turning your brain off. So look at this, it's saying, yeah, so it's mentioned some things, which I'm going to, there, see, look, even though I did spell checking, I've spelled recommend wrong once. Well, in my next peer review section is going to do it. I was going to say, I should change new again. Okay, yeah. Now, I can just commit session. I never would. I'm never going to let GitHub do it for me. I want to know why it's done and why I was going to change what to do. And I'll review. Okay, yeah. Oh, okay, it's just reviewing it. Anyway, so that is enough. I'm done. I've gone far longer than I expected, mainly because it took us a lot longer to identify where the issue was, where we started. So where we began our journey here was here. This is coming off a logged issue. Well, in fact, this wasn't even a logged issue initially. This was just a comment to Reddit, but it's one I have seen occasionally. But now that we're streaming, we can address these things in a much more personal manner of showing you what these things are and why. Why, if you're trying to upgrade from a certain version of MonoGame and getting bad XNA references, it's because the target framework is not correct. You've not followed the migration guide or the upgrade guide to ensure that your project is using the latest. But anyway, that was me. I'm going to sign out. I'm going to log off. I will probably go and get some snacks. It's getting late now. I need some snacks. And then I'm going to try and play a game for a while and then sleep. But this has been me. I hope you've enjoyed the stream, and we shall catch you on for many more. Good luck. So, bye.